Okay, we are live. Are we really live? So, welcome, guys. Tonight's gonna be, yes, I said epic. It's gonna be epic because I've had adult beverages, and yes, people may criticize the fact that I have adult beverages, but that's part of my Friday deal. And it's the only time in a week that I have adult beverages, so I enjoy it. And it's also time to have some fun. Fun, folks, because hello, guys, because somebody is attacking me and calling me names and saying that I don't know what I'm talking about. So we are going to talk about that today, and that's going to be fun. And I don't know how long it's going to take, guys. So let me just bring up the chat portion here. I may have to split this up in a couple of videos or a couple of live streams. I don't know how much I can cover in a day in one live stream, but we will try the best we can. Hold on a second while I bring this up. And while we're getting this started, let me just say that this live stream is sponsored by Linode. Linode has been into Linux way since the beginning, and they've been around even before Amazon AWS since 2005. And I myself am a Linode user. So if you want to use Linode to have your servers, your cloud servers, there's a link in my description where you can get a $60 60-day credit discount. And thank you, Linode, for sponsoring my live streams on Fridays. And it's going to be a particularly interesting one today. So what is this all about? And while we're trying to get people in here, I'll tell you the little story, and then we'll get into the meat of this. And like I said, I don't know how long this is going to take because I have a lot to say, and I may talk nonstop here and talk very fast, and we'll see how much we can squeeze in. But I'm being attacked in various forms. I only know of one, but I'm sure I'm being talked about in others. But it's basically the same group, and this group is kind of a mob. They've been actually going out on the internet, attacking various people on YouTube and various forums, and they're kind of like hardcore people who support Graphene OS. So they're a very specific group. Okay, this is not to say anything about Daniel McKay or however you pronounce his name. He's not part of this, but this group is. Okay, so I have nothing negative to say about graphene itself, but certainly a lot to say about this mob that's going out there thinking that they're smarter than everyone else, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Because obviously, some of the stuff, most of the things they claim to be important for privacy does not conform to what I tell you, and I'm the internet privacy guy. And tonight you will learn about why I am different. That's what we're going to talk about tonight. Is how is it that you go to Reddit and you get completely different input about what to do about privacy than me? Why is that different? And this is a very important point, guys. If you listen tonight, you will see there is a shocking difference between what I tell you and what these people on Reddit and Matrix and all these guys say, because somehow they are different. Why is that? It's a very interesting point. Very interesting point. Okay? Why are they different? Now, I don't personally, I don't have a problem with somebody having a different point of view. I don't have a problem with that. So if you have a different point of view, you can tell me, you can tell people whatever you want, and I'm not going to care. But if you fucking attack me and call me names and tell people things about me that is insulting to me, then I will attack you back. And fortunately, I'm going to tell you about this group that is a big supporter of Graphene OS, and I'm going to tell you about this group. Okay, some of them talk to me in private on Braxme, and they're awesome people, and I'm really appreciative of some of the input I get from some of these people, and I consider them very good people and very talented, and I really think they're very smart at what they do in their realm. Okay, Okay, that's not my realm, but in their realm, they're very smart at what they do, and I appreciate it. I'm not going to say anything negative about these people, especially those who talk to me and give me information that things that may not be in my realm of study. So I appreciate that, and please come to me and talk to me. That's not a problem. But there's one specific guy who thinks he's smarter than everyone else, and everyone appears to believe that he's like super knowledgeable about privacy. And this is the terms he called me, and I'm just gonna. I don't go to Reddit, so I didn't actually see this. So if I am wrong, if they didn't actually say this, you can come correct me. But I was told by third party, because I don't go read this on Reddit. But this person, and his name is Mad Aiden. Okay, this guy. Okay, Mad Aiden, this is for you. But I don't really care about you. I don't really care about what you think. Okay. This is about anybody else who wants to believe in you, okay? This person said that when asked about me, he gave the opinion that I am the opposite of legit. Okay? Imagine that. I am the internet privacy guy, and somebody says that I am not the internet privacy guy, that I'm the opposite of legit. Okay, so I'm basically saying I'm non-legit when I talk about zucking privacy. I must not know what I'm talking about. Okay, this is another comment that I heard, and I didn't read any other comments. Cause I didn't read any comments. This is passed to me by third party, because I'm not going to go read it on zucking Reddit. And one of the other comments was that I don't do my research. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about that tonight, and we're going to talk about why you should believe me. I don't really need to bother with this Mad Aiden guy or any of these people who think they're super smart. Actually, we'll spend a moment to talk about how good they are, okay? Because they're actually good at certain things, and I'm not going to dispute that they're good at what they do in certain issues, and I appreciate that, especially the ones who've talked to me. Not going to reveal who it is, but several of them have talked to me in private, and they're good people with good intent, and I have to tell you that I've talked to many people come to me on Brax Me and talk to me about things that inform me about a lot of issues and make sure that I get a chance to cross-check my knowledge against theirs to make sure I'm not going in the wrong direction here. So I appreciate that. So anyway, one of the things that I can say positively about this group that is pushing Graphene OS, and by the way, they're kind of misguided. If they just kept quiet and stick to what they know and not start to be out there, claiming things more than they understand, then things will be fine. I don't really say anything negative about Graphene OS. So, Graphene OS is fine. If you want to use Graphene OS, I don't say anything about it. But if you come to my broadcast and talk about me and you start saying negative things about me, then zuck you. So this is my time to zuck you. But in the meantime, let me just talk about some of these people. And some of them criticize me, some of them don't. But in general, the people who are in this particular group, and I call them a mob, and they've been mobbing other people in privacy channels on YouTube, not just me. And they're even making comments on my they're spamming comments on my YouTube videos that I have to delete because they're just getting too aggressive for me, and it's like and they've been going to Brax Me and being aggressive there too, telling me that I'm wrong, and it's like, zuck you. Okay, have a little bit of respect, guys. I mean, I understand if you have a different belief, but don't go to my platform and say that I don't know what I'm talking about, okay, because I'll say zuck you. So anyway, these guys are really good at cybersecurity. I have to admit that they're specialized when it comes to studying the details of Android and verified boot, secure boot, and all the SE Linux policies and all that. They are down to the nitty-gritty of that, and they are very good at understanding that, and I appreciate that. And kudos to you, because you are doing a good job with that, and I appreciate it. And in the end, it will help you. It will help me in cybersecurity. But you don't go around, guys, criticizing other people in this field of cybersecurity privacy because you don't have a zucking idea. Okay? Don't be so. Have some humility. You don't go around, and I don't criticize anybody in cybersecurity. I do not. Okay, because other people know things I don't. But you don't go around criticizing and calling me names and saying that I don't know what I'm zucking talking about, because you're going to look bad. And I don't do that to you, but you do that to me, and so you're going to get insulted now. Well, maybe I'm not going to spend time insulting you because it's not worth it. So what I'm going to do, guys, is talk about why I'm different. That's what you're going to hear about tonight. It's why you should listen to me and not listen to this group on Reddit that claims they know everything about privacy, and they're actually spread to so many people who go to Reddit and Matrix and all these different places that they talk in and actually say that that whatever their answer to privacy is correct, and they have kind of a list of things that they believe in. I'm going to read some of them to you so you know. And this is just to get you started here, and then we're going to start really ranting about this. But let me just talk about some of what they believe. Okay? They believe you must have an Android phone with Graphene OS as your OS. Graphene OS. Or some of them believe that you can use iOS. So if you have an iPhone, that's okay too. But otherwise, on Android, you should have Graphene OS, because they talk about all the different reasons why Graphene OS is superior, because it has, among other things, a hardened malloc, which is a memory allocator that if you're a C programmer, you know what malloc is. You used malloc for decades. So, yes, I know about malloc. Okay, so can't say I don't know anything about malloc. So, okay, so, and the other thing that they claim is that Graphene OS is superior because it tests a modified SE Linux policy. This is part of what they believe in makes Graphene superior. Secondly, they think, and this is a common statement from this group, is that phones have more security than computers. So they're saying, hey, my phone is more hardened, so I have more security on a phone than a computer. I don't have to tell you I disagree with all this, but yes, I disagree with almost everything they say. I disagree. So it's okay, you can believe what you want to believe, but I disagree with everything they said. They also say that Linux computers and Linux phones suck at security. They say that. I disagree with that. They say iOS security is very good. Okay. Well, I suppose that's true. iOS security is very good. iOS privacy is extremely bad. So what's the point? So, okay. So iOS security, iOS privacy. Okay, so I disagree with that because of that. That you should use private DNS, meaning DNS over HTTPS. Disagree highly. I would never zucking use DNS over HTTPS. If you get a de-Google phone from me, I turn that zucking thing off. The other thing that they say is that you should not use VPNs. Although they say you should use Tor. I don't have a problem with that. You can use Tor if you want. But they specifically say you should not use VPNs. Okay, so if you're not going to use Tor, so your choice is Tor or nothing. Okay, most of you will use nothing. Okay, got it. Disagree strongly. Another thing that they say is that that you should use Proton Mail, Tutanota, etc. And I already have a video on that. And finally, they said you should stick to F-Droid and not use Micro G. There's more, but this is just a common set of arguments that I hear from this group. Okay, so if you know my channel, you probably know I have a video against everything in here. So it doesn't surprise me that this Matt Aiden guy would disagree with me, because obviously almost 100% of what he says I disagree with. But you don't know why I disagree, and that's really, there are differences between people. There are differences between what they believe and what I believe, and I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to tell you right now, that as skilled as they are in cybersecurity, they are false prophets. False prophets. You cannot believe in people like this Matt Aiden guy. I've read his blog long ago. Long. This is not something I just did, like before this video. I've read it long ago, and I read it. I was like, suck. That was my first reaction, was zuck. Okay? Because this is an example of people who think they don't have any humility. They actually think they know everything. And they don't understand that perhaps they don't know the full story, because they have limited experience with this. And some people think that, they're good with cybersecurity. They experiment in the lab. They're actually good scientists. I would call them scientists. They research microbiology. They're like a kind of scientist, or research molecular biology and all that. But if a patient comes to them and says, I have a pain in my stomach, and they don't know anything, because they don't have the practical experience to apply that to the broad problem, because they're only good at the scientific level, and they don't actually know the big picture. And that is what we're going to talk about today. And again, this is not to dispute that they have talent. I actually am impressed with some of the things he says, this Matt Aiden guy. Some of what he says is actually impressive, and I believe it. It's correct to me. It's when he stretches out of cybersecurity that I don't believe him. It's when he stretches out of his knowledge base and makes statements that is not related to what he knows. Then I say, you're doing a reach. You don't really know what you're talking about. Okay? So for that reason, I'm going to tell you today why these people are different. Why is it that they talk differently than me? What is it that they say that is different from what I say? Why is that? So I'm going to tell you a little bit about cybersecurity. I'm sorry, guys. I mean, there's not going to be a lot of time for Q&A here, because I have a lot to say, and I'm not even going to get through all of this in even all this time. I may have to split this up into many videos, but one of the things I'm going to introduce you to in cybersecurity is that before you start analyzing what to do, and by the way, some of you get consulting services from me. I do offer some limited consulting time on Braxme. So if you want to book a consultation, I do have some limited consultation I can offer. And one of the things I do is try to get the big picture first and analyze what is called the threat model. And I want to make sure you understand that. The threat model. Because if you don't understand who your threats are, the defense is going to be wrong. You have to defend against the threat that you expect to be a threat. You don't defend against something that is not a threat. I had to have notes here, because I have so much to say. And I'm sure I'll forget everything, but I have a bunch of notes that I can refer to in case I miss something. But a threat model is a basic thing in cybersecurity. And by the way, people actually question me and say, well, what do you know about cybersecurity? I don't have to. I'm tired of saying my life history here, because it's kind of boring, and it's not important. It's not important. I don't need to tell you that I've been a chief software architect for decades. I had obviously lots of programmers working for me, and that I've designed enterprise systems that are still in use tremendously today by a large number of people, and that my product has been even sold by other companies that are very major, and they I don't need to talk about that because that's not important. What's more important is because of my experience, I was doing C programming for, I don't want to, hint at my age, but, I had the original white book from Kernighan and Ritchie, and I was in programming, and by that time, there was nobody to, learn programming from. There were no such thing as programming classes, so you have to kind of like self learn this stuff. So yes, I've been a C programmer for a very long time, but what's more important is that I've been involved. I've been on the internet since the beginning of the internet, and I was doing things on the internet since the very beginning, and I've done things on internet kind of stuff that would be considered very advanced. I wrote my own servers, my own clients, my own email servers as well, and any kind of client server services that I've done on the internet for decades. So, just for someone to tell me that I know what I'm doing, if you're telling me that I don't know how to create an IP packet, directly using C, then, you can believe whatever you want to believe. But if you're telling me that I don't know how to spoof your IP address on a UDP packet, then I don't know what to tell you. Okay? I obviously have done a lot of this and I have a lot of experience with it. But that is not even important. That's not even important. What is important to understand is when you discuss cybersecurity, you have to understand your threat model. So, given this, what is the threat model that I perceive is true about this group, this Graphene OS group that's out there? And again, this is not about Graphene guy Daniel McKay or whatever, however you pronounce his name. He hasn't done anything. I mean, he hasn't done anything negative or said anything or implied anything. So I have nothing negative to say about Graphene OS itself. It's all these people who are like, going wild over the internet, thinking they're smarter than everybody else. The issue is that their threat model, I think their threat model is about a hacker. So their threat model is somebody's going to hack your phone. So they're really creating a hardened platform, and everything that they do is inside this idea of a threat model that a hacker is going to hack their device. That is their threat model. Okay? Just want to make that clear. Which has some limitations in there if you understand that threat model, because it's different from my threat model in a big way. Some of you will actually think my threat model is Facebook, Google, Amazon, NSA, CIA, all that. That's what you think my threat model is. And that's not really the truth. And I have to tell you a little bit of history about why I'm doing this. And for those of you who are on Periscope, who were on Periscope, very few of you are here from Periscope, but I had 30-some thousand followers on Periscope when I was doing the live streams on Periscope. And I was doing this every day, okay? And I'm going to tell you why my threat model is different. So hopefully now I got enough of you here to tell you actually. Not enough of you are here yet, but too bad. I guess the topic is not that interesting. But the difference is that the threat model, in my case, and that's what I'm trying to teach you here, is the threat to you is me. That's right, folks. I am your threat. This is what my whole channel is all about. I am your threat. So let me explain that clearly, because that's kind of like, it's kind of shocking. So basically, I'm telling you that you should be afraid of someone like me, because someone like me can do stuff. And I'm you don't understand what I can do, so I'm going to tell you. If you understand what I can do, then you understand why you need to stop somebody like me. And so my whole channel is to stop someone like me. Everything I talk about here is based on real stuff. Telling you right now, this is not a joke. Everything I talk about is how to stop someone like me from invading your privacy, because I have a particular set of skills and it is dangerous. And I've proven it over and over again on Periscope Live. And it's dangerous. I don't know why I'm able to do this. It's a little bit scary. And I don't go against the law, but it's kind of scary what I can do. And it's why I got into privacy, because I said, what the zuck? If I can do this, someone can do it to me. And guess what? I also know that other parties can do more than what I can do, because they have data. And I'm talking about three-letter agencies and so on. They not only have the abilities that I can do to invade your privacy, but they also have data. They have databases. And that database is not in your Graphene OS phone. It's about everything you can do on the internet. And that is why my view of things is more global. I don't talk about particular cybersecurity problems. And I'll tell you something else. And I'll get into detail about some of this. I'll tell you something else. When you deal with a problem of cyber privacy and cybersecurity, you're attacking let's say somebody is you claim somebody is attacking your device, but actually go beyond that, because my expertise goes to people. A similar person to me is Kevin Mitnick. Kevin Mitnick is, of course, the most well-known hacker in the world. And what he's good at, beyond just his tech skills, is that Kevin Mitnick was good, more than good. He was like supremely skilled at social engineering. He understood people. He understood what people would do, what people would say. He understood how to deal with people in a way that would reveal secrets and allow him to get into things. He was able to walk into buildings at AT&T and so on, and he was able to do this simply because he had social engineering skills. Okay? Well, in my case, my skills are so specific that I actually know what mistakes you're going to do on the internet. I already know, before you even ask me, what 99% of you will do on the internet. So if you make any kind of mistake, which you will do, including me, you will make some kind of mistake on the internet, I will find you. Guys, my specific skill on the internet is I can find information on anything. And I mean anything. And I can find information about anyone when I want to, and somehow I don't know why I'm able to do this, and some people aren't able to do what I'm able to do. This is all practical experience. Can't tell you. This has nothing to do with programming skills. Obviously, I'm, a very advanced programmer, but because I understand computing, I understand the mistakes. I've been on the internet since the beginning. I know exactly what mistakes you'll make, and I actually knew what mistakes one could make when the internet started. So because of this, I said, wow, if I can do this, I need to teach people how to stop someone like me. So this channel, everything I talk about here, it's not about what some theoretical thing that this Matt Aiden guy is talking about. I'm telling you that all the things I talk about here will stop someone like me. Everything I teach you about in cybersecurity, I'm actually exposing what will stop me. And by the way, it will stop some other entities, hopefully like three-letter agencies, but it will stop me for sure. If you pay attention to everything I say, it will stop me, and I'm happy to do that. That's what this channel is all about. This channel about is saying, can you stop someone like this guy who's actually able to do stuff? Not theoretical things, guys. Not theoretical. I'll give you examples because to those who are on Periscope, you saw this daily. I was attacked on Periscope very often because of what I talk about. Okay? So everyone thought they were smart, and just the typical troll is a 15-year-old who comes to my channel and starts calling me names and start saying racist things like, don't, you open your eyes or you're not going to get back from China. You're going to get lost. You can't find your way back from China. Or stick an egg roll up your ass. Or, guys, I get this all the time. And you know what? I just laugh at that. That doesn't, it's so stupid. I don't pay attention. I make fun of it. But, if you start to persist and if you don't give up and you interrupt what I'm talking about, Zaz, yes, James CC, you're Zaz. Stick an egg roll up your Zaz like you're zucking Zaz. Okay, this is YouTube here. Okay, so anyway, so I'll give you two stories because there were many witnesses, and hopefully some of the witnesses are even here. Of two things that I did. There are more, but these are two things that happened on the same day, so it was kind of fun. So one of the guys started to troll me in a big way and started to interrupt my broadcast on Periscope and started to make comments. And I said to this guy, I bet you're some kid, and I'm going to do a broadcast about you tomorrow if you don't stop this. And he persisted. So the next day, I did a broadcast. By the way, this is still on Periscope. Now, it's kind of long ago now, so I don't know if you can find it, because after I did this a few times, nobody threatened me anymore. Okay? So, unfortunately, this kid is underage, so I'm not, I didn't identify him online. I didn't tell him his name, but I, described in general what I know about his little house. He lives in Fresno. And about his mother's car, and the fact that the mother is a single mom. I know all their relatives. I know what work the mom does. I know that this kid is actually in at this. I'm trying to remember now because it was kind of a long time ago. I think he was in middle school in this public school in Fresno, and I knew his principal. I knew everything about him basically, and I knew their financial status and must like suck. And this guy was, I knew his relatives, his aunt and everything, and then this guy was like, a guy actually came back to the broadcast the next day, and was like, that's, he didn't really dispute what I said, but he made a comment about his aunt. And this is the funny part. After the broadcast, he actually left a message with me on Twitter saying, could I dox somebody else for him? So he actually had enough respect to, instead of attacking me, asking me if I can dox somebody else for him. Okay, so that's part one. Part two was can't remember, it was the same day or the day after. I just can't remember, but it was very shortly afterwards. And there's another guy, and he again was very aggressive with what he was trying to do to me on Periscope. And the thing that was interesting was this guy was a security minded. He actually was very protective of security and didn't use real names, and he knew what to do. He knew what to do to protect himself. Zuck you. found everything about him, about what he did, his job, and even the surfing, and the fact that he his Hispanic origin and his entire family in Mexico. I believe it was can't recall now because it was a long time ago. I think it was like south of Texas, and that's where his family was. And I knew every one of his family members and what they believed in, and what his job was, and this guy was hiding everything, hiding everything. I mean, he was actually good at hiding. And it was like, Zuck, I'm going to find everything about you because I know what mistakes you are going to make, and I'm going to find it. Here's another case for you. Here's another case, and this is on Periscope. This is well known as well. On Periscope, there was this guy who was doing a broadcast, and he was broadcasting without his face. So he was only showing a computer screen. And people were kind of scared of him because he was doing... basically tracking people's activity on the Periscope app. And he actually collected a database of people doing things on Periscope. And that's what he did. So he was already in that cybersecurity kind of world. And nobody knew who he was. Nobody ever found out who he was, by the way. Except for me. Of course, I know who he was. I found him. I confronted him and said, and told him I know who he was. And we became friends actually. Yeah, we exchanged data. He left Periscope. The fact of the matter, guys, is that is what powers. That is what powers what I do today. Okay? So, I am not here about sucking theory. If you want to listen to theory, talk to some people on Reddit. Because they don't understand that privacy is not on your sucking phone. I don't care what phone you have. I'm going to find information about you. I don't care what phone you have. I'm going to track your movement. I know how to do that. If you dig into my videos, you'll actually find out why I can do it. But I'm not going to go give you the details here. Maybe you should watch videos and get a clue on every one of this. Almost every video I do is actually related to some line of attack that I know about, and I don't want you to be attacked. Everything I do and talk about is to say, wow, can I find a way to beat what I know? That is what my channel does. Practical experience. And by the way, it's not flawless. Somebody can dox me and do things like that to me. Somebody can do that to me. I'll do it to you though. Probably 10 times over. Fortunately, I don't have a bad reputation, so even if you dox me, it's not there's nothing that I have to be ashamed about. And that's why I have a special power to do this, because I know that even if you attack me, that you're not going to have much. But there were some guys who actually attacked me every day on Periscope. And I said, you really shouldn't do this. You shouldn't attack me. Shouldn't attack me because, there's stuff I can do. I have a particular set of skills. This guy attacked me, and I collected a dossier about him, and, to see if it was even worth filing a lawsuit against. The guy was dirt poor, lived in a zucking trailer, was a zucking loser. It's like, this guy isn't worth any time at all. I can't get anything out of him. He's a zucking loser. So, but it was funny. You go attack someone and you don't realize that you are so vulnerable because, like most people, you don't know some of the tricks that I teach you here. But let me tell you something else. If you listen to me and watch my videos, I can't attack you. One of the things, let me just talk to you about my particular app, BraxAdMe. And BraxMe is often criticized by people who don't know anything because, I'm not popular. Who talks about me? I'm a nobody. And I haven't even updated the app in a while because it's not a major it's not a moneymaker for me. So but it's a very good app. And why is it a very good app? Because I actually designed BraxMe to collect as little information as possible. It doesn't require phone number, email, nothing. It doesn't collect IP addresses. There's no database of IP addresses. I actually know nothing. And because it doesn't collect any of that, there's no temptation to actually go out and look at people and say, oh, I'm going to go research this person because he's like trolling me on BraxMe. I don't even have that kind of data. And purposely, because I know what I can do, and I don't want to put things like that in a system and cause mistrust. Nobody in the years that BraxMe has been around, no one has ever experienced any kind of trouble with their data, loss of data, being hacked, anything, because BraxMe relies on the fact that you don't give it data. Therefore, if you don't give it data, then I can't do anything about it. So this is why BraxMe is a superior app to all of these other options they claim of, because there is no metadata. One of the big things that this graphene group is big on is matrix. And I really haven't said much about matrix, but I'm not going to use matrix, sorry. Matrix claims end-to-end encryption if you enable it. So it's an option you can have if you want to have end-to-end encryption. This is the same thing that you can do on Telegram. And what is the purpose of end-to-end encryption if there's so much metadata, including your IP address, that is revealed on Matrix? Matrix has so much metadata. It's a peer-to-peer network application, which means that your data is immutable. Therefore, there's permanence. There's a permanent metadata about you. And people say, well, we don't want centralized platforms. Well, in the centralized platform, when you hit delete, it's deleted. In a peer-to-peer network, if you delete, it's not deleted because it's spread as immutable. You can only flag it deleted. It's immutable in the entire database, just like a blockchain. So that's why I'm not going to go to Zucking Matrix. Now, there's a purpose to Matrix, and Matrix can be good when you're talking politics and you want somebody to be able to, if you're a whistleblower and you want to say things and you don't want what you say to ever be deleted, then use Matrix. That's perfect for that. That's the precise application for that. But for private messaging, to go to Zucking Matrix, where you can't ever remove what you say, I don't care if it's encrypted, the metadata is there. Suck. I mean, this is what's being pushed by these so-called privacy experts. Guys, let me just tell you. The problem with some of these people who claim to know about privacy is that they have no practical experience in actually collecting this data or even talking to people at levels that I have, where they don't even understand. Strike. Let me just talk about a side topic here. And the side topic has to do with malware. So certain people think you can harden your computer in a certain way and that you would be immune from malware. And they certainly believe that some version of some phone OS will be so hardened that you will never get malware. Zuck that. Okay? Let me just tell you the reality. The reality is, knowing what I can do, and that enough is pretty scary what I can do. Okay? And by the way, that goes beyond just the tech portion. We're talking about the social engineering side of it. It's a combination of the two, social engineering plus the actual tech side, which is how, even what's his name? What's the name of that show? My goodness. They haven't had an episode for so long. What's the name of that show? With Ramek? Goodness, it's been so long. I haven't talked about his show in a long time. Somebody tell me Ramek's show. Mr. Robot. There you go. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Robot. Thank you. Yes, not iRobot, Mr. Robot. So even Mr. Robot knows that half the battle is the social engineering part. Even things like honeypots and all that is social engineering. You trick somebody, and this is why malware has a hard time getting to me, because I know all the tricks. So it's hard to get me to click something because I know all the tricks. So if I click something and I don't like it and I'm uncomfortable with it because of what I find later, I'll do a factory reset and get back to erase it. Okay? My assumption is somebody's always smarter. Somebody is always smarter. Somebody can come up with a virus that you cannot detect. Now, I know this because I know how to make malware that you cannot detect. Guys, it's a very scary thought when you think that you can detect all malware. So if you have the ego to think you can detect all the malware, perhaps you don't understand how malware is made. I can make malware you cannot detect. As it turns out, the CIA and NSA uses the same techniques for making this malware you cannot detect. And I'm going to tell you something, like an interesting thing, that I always assumed that if I wanted to remote control malware, I am not going to directly communicate with the malware. I'm going to find some intermediate way to control the malware. So this is an example of one of my thoughts about how to, if I insert malware into a computer, how do I give it commands to trigger what it will do? Because I want it to be flexible, not a one-shot malware, but something that does multiple things. And this is my way, and I came up with this many years ago. Many years ago. And I said, I'll set up a Twitter account, and whatever I post on Twitter will trigger the malware. So some random Twitter account makes a random post, which may mean nothing to you, but the malware takes the code, the secret sauce in the message, and interpret that to do a command. And because it's public, you don't realize that it's public communication. So if malware is able to go look at even Facebook, Twitter, whatever, and look at posts, you can trigger malware. So if you want to hide, you don't trigger anything. You don't send in a command for a long time. This is how they hacked Merkel, the Chancellor of Germany. That's how they hacked her, with a sleeping malware. Malware can sleep. I can give you legitimate software and it can sleep. You can download legit software and there could be malware on it. You're not going to know. And because of this, I understand there is no zucking way to avoid it if somebody wants to get you. There is no zucking way. Somebody wants to get you, they can get you. So if you are not humble enough to realize that, then you're zucked up. So my approach is not that the malware that you are somehow, I'm not trying to put a security dome where you can't be broken into. I'm trying to make it so that, one, that you're harder to find. Secondly, that the database doesn't build up. And thirdly, that I set up procedures for you so that you always assume that there is malware anyway. So if you always assume, like one of my videos is how often I do a factory reset. So my computer, just if you watch my video from yesterday, my computer is running VMs, virtual machines. And I throw away the VMs and I go over and over with VMs and I don't even use the main host computer for anything. I do everything in a VM. I dump the VM. I'm using Linux in this case. And I dump the VM whenever on some frequency, and because it has all the apps I need, I don't have to worry about it. I don't keep data on the VM itself. I keep data on external place. In my case, I have my own platform, but for some of you, you can use Nextcloud. I don't need that because I have my own platform, so I keep it on my own cloud server. So if you keep encrypted, So if you keep your data away from the machine, if the machine is hacked, I always expect it's going to get hacked. The reason is because of what I talk about, and I've been doing this for, almost 6 years now, and I have thousands of videos, and I've gotten threats, guys, lots of threats, even from corporate players, because of what I've discovered. This is one of the things that I've done this is one of the things that, I've done over the years. Is not only can I find out everything about people, I can find out a lot of things about governments and entities and corporations. And somebody was actually, this is a very common one, and it's like, it's getting to be irritating at times, because I shouldn't be irritated, because thank you, Expose History 2. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. One of the things that, what was I talking about? And I forget what I was talking about. What should I use when evil people run the world? What slur should I use? Zuck. They're Zuckers. Ethan Force. They're Zuckers. Anyway, goodness, I forgot what I was saying. And it had to do with corporations. Oh, I know. I was doing research on things like, I guess I can tell you now, because I actually got some threats when I talked about this. Some hidden threats that, forced me to show broadcasts with my toy gun. Where's my toy gun? I guess I don't have a toy gun anymore, and I can't really show it on YouTube. But I had to do my toy guns on YouTube, because I got a threat, and the threat was, hey, whatever this guy talks about, we need damage control. Because, of course, I find things out, one of the things I found out was this, company called Blue Coat Systems, which was owned by Symantec. Symantec, by the way, has been broken up now. So whatever Symantec was, it no longer is, because Symantec is one of the most evil companies ever. And Symantec, I used to refer to Symantec as Romantec, because I don't want to, use their name. Which is, that portion of Symantec has been purchased by Broadcom now, and hopefully hopefully the evil has stopped. Symantec was known for doing things like creating fake root certificates, creating fake certificates. Symantec actually gave a secondary certificate right to Blue Coat Systems, and how they did it was, if Blue Coat Systems installs their spy hardware on a country like Saudi Arabia or Bahrain or whatever, or Syria, if somebody fakes a certificate, which they can do in this case, for however many millions, you can actually watch the internet traffic, even if it's encrypted. I mean, that's kind of crazy stuff we're talking about here, and this is real stuff, okay? And when I discovered this and started to talk about it, then I started to feel uncomfortable, because there were some messages passed through third parties that they're not liking what I'm talking about. Okay, well, somebody actually passed me a video which reminds me of this video from many years ago, which was how your car can be hacked. Somebody can control your steering wheel and basically drive you against a wall at high speed. In fact, hit the accelerator, and and this was already shown at DEF CON. This was already doable. And it kind of scares me that somebody at that level could actually say, hey, I'm not liking what this guy's talking about, so we're going to do this. He's going to get suicided. Okay, so it's kind of scary. So when somebody tells me that I don't know what I'm talking about, it just makes me laugh. It makes me laugh because I've been doing this for a long time, and And obviously, because I've been doing it for a long time, I hear stuff from people, and I make sure I don't know who they are. So there have been whistleblowers over the years, and unfortunately, or fortunately for them, I don't know who they are. That's what Braxme does. I have no identity, so I know nothing. They leave me they talk to me on Brax. They leave me a comment and give me a tip, and I love these tips, and they come from insiders, and I love it because I get information nobody else gets, but I don't know who they are. And I'm happy and I'm certain if somebody says, I'm going to subpoena that information, and you can subpoena all you want, because I actually don't know anything. Okay? I actually don't know anything. And it's just my sense of people that I know if somebody's telling the truth or not. It's just an instinct. I instinctively know that people have actually, tried to do the same thing as I do in discovering information on the internet, and they don't know what to look for. When I found out that there's actually a firmware update you can do all over the air, OTA update on your Zucking Broadcom or Qualcomm chip on your Zucking phone. It's like, what the zuck can you put on there? As you know, there's even McAfee had a theory that they can actually load, custom software on a phone by demand using some version of Stingray. And from what I know, it's like, zuck, it's actually possible because there's actually an OTA mechanism in there. Now, we don't really know. That's the thing. I can't do the research and tell you that I know exactly they can do this, because I know you can hide malware. So you can't really know for sure, but if you know the intent and the capability, if I can do it, and certainly given the information, you kind of know you can do it, and then you say, wow, if you can do that, then you can do X. So one of the things that is already known, and this is why this graphene, this focus on graphene, this is why I don't necessarily tell you to use graphene. You can use any de-Googled phone, because the threat is to not have your data leak, which it won't leak with a de-Googled phone with no gaps. It's not going to leak. But I don't, graphene thinks that you can block the phone and somehow you're not going to get malware, but which is fine, but I don't think you can stop a SoC, system on a chip, Qualcomm, from doing things when it has access to the Zucking memory. In case you didn't know this is one of the reasons why Linux phones have an advantage that no Android phone has. Only Linux phones have thought about this, and we're going to talk about Linux in a moment here, because I'm going to talk Linux more. But Linux phones are the only devices, I'm talking about Librem 5 and the Pine phone, where actually there's a separation between the broadband, not broadband, the cell baseband modem, the cell baseband modem, and the rest of the OS. In a standard Android, the SoC, you know what an SoC is, system on a chip. So the way they make it now is Qualcomm makes the motherboard for most Android phones, and even part of the iOS phone. So what happens is the system on a chip, if you didn't know what a system on a chip is actually a computer. So Qualcomm has a computer inside the computer. So a typical phone has multiple separate computers with separate OSs on there. So it's likely running some version of Linux on the Qualcomm side. There's another version of some operating system running on the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, and there's another operating system running on the main Android, which in this case is Android Open Source Project, AOSP, which is then converted to Google by adding Google Apps. Okay, so there are separate things in there. So you can do whatever you want to harden it with Graphene OS, but if you are not aware, and none of us can really know, because it's a called a binary blob. But from what I've learned so far, it's already obvious there are ways to get into your phone without even talking to the Android portion of it. I already have it in my video, Who is Spying on Your Phone, Part 1, which hardly anybody sees. I don't know how many views I have on that. Do I even have 4,000 views in that video? I'm not sure. Somebody can check, but maybe less even. I don't know. 4,000 views in that one of the most important videos, because I agree it's very, very dense. It's very, very dense, and it's not. It's so dense that most people will not understand it. But the fact of the matter is, I did a lot of research on that, and I'm a ham radio licensed operator, and I understand RF, and I understand some of the hacks in there very well. I actually have a book that's a source material for a lot of the stuff that's in there, and it was made by researchers that actually presented it at DEF CON, and I have the book, and I studied all that as well and understood exactly what they're talking about. The problem, guys, is that there already are attacks. One of them, very well known recently, is called SimJacker, for which there's no current solution. So SimJacker attacks your phone by sending signals via hidden text. Hidden text, which just means it's not even visible to the zucking Android device. You're sending hidden text and commands, and you can do things like control and read your text, read your control phone calling and all that, and could probably turn on your phone, so it could actually listen into your conversation just by turning on your phone, and it's in your pocket, and it can listen into your conversation just by turning on your phone when you don't know about it. This kind of stuff is built into this thing called simjacking. Well, how are you going to defend that with graphene? You cannot. You cannot defend any of these with any operating system. I don't care if you have a BlackBerry from 2012. You're going to be hacked with this technique because it's built into the zucking baseband, which is a separate computer. So how dumb can you be to say that you can actually protect yourself with a graphene OS or anything like that? Yes, you can protect yourself against some threats, but my assumption is you're not going to be able to defend yourself. Therefore, don't put zucking data on your phone. Don't put your zucking naked pictures on your phone. Don't put your secret documents on your phone. Zuck. That is one thing you will never find me doing. My computer, I don't care. My computer crashes tomorrow, tonight. I don't care. I'm not going to lose anything. I don't keep my data on the zucking computer because I understand that I am humble enough to know I'm going to get hacked. Now, I've never detected a hack, but you never know. Even BraxMe, let me just tell you something about the way BraxMe is designed. So I made this app BraxMe, which, people in Reddit and all this, they don't know anything about it, even though it's open source. They say, well, it's not that good. Okay. The thing about BraxMe is because of my mindset, I designed BraxMe to assume that it's been hacked. I always assume that. So if a hacker gets in BraxMe, which so far, luckily for me, no one has ever hacked BraxMe. Maybe because it's not significant enough, but either way, no one's hacked BraxMe because I run my own pen testing on it to make sure that, the latest hacks can't get to it. But if somebody hacked my database actually contains only encrypted data. So you can hack all you want, and good luck if you're thinking you can get anything in there, passwords, name, addresses, whatever. Since most people on BraxMe don't even have a real name or even an email, maybe 10% of an email, maybe less. The phone number is encrypted. What can you get from hacking BraxMe? Not much. Not much. So, it's not worth it for anyone to do because, because the way I did it, there's so much isolation in the encryption decryption process, which is my expertise, and they're not going to get anything. So I love it. So anyway, I'm going to talk about Linux here. Some of you actually expect me to talk about it, and you can hack my Brax router all you want. That means you're hacking yourself if you have my Brax router. Anyway, yeah, you actually, you can download my manual and get into my Brax router. Have fun. So anyway, one of the things that is typically said about this mob here, this particular mob, this graphene mob that is attacking so many people on the internet, is that they made this claim, and this claim is that Linux computers and phones suck at security, which is kind of similar to the statement that Lineage OS, and they also do this. They disparage Linux Lineage OS, and say Lineage OS is not safe, so you should dump it and use graphene. Okay, certainly I have a lot to say about this. Certainly a lot to say about this. So I'm going to tell you something. For those of you, and many of you have followed my channel because you have been supporters of Linux phones, Librem 5 with Purism and the Pine phone, and you think it's a good idea. And let me tell you something. It still is a good idea. Even though I don't have my Librem 5 yet, even if I get it, it's probably going to be buggy. There's going to be problems, and it's going to be a battle to get it, to a daily driver. Even though I understand that, the fact of the matter is, Linux phones are the first time they have isolated the baseband, which is where most of the spying occurs on a phone, the baseband modem. The other part is the Wi-Fi. The baseband modem is where hidden code has been in there, and we're discovering it, almost on a regular basis. Every year we discover most stuff there, and some secret things that I actually don't know how the Harris Corporation makes Stingray, which is used by law enforcement to invade your phone through the baseband modem. They have some insider secrets in there that just makes me wonder, how did they get into Qualcomm? How did they get into that? And which makes me understand that perhaps Qualcomm is in on this. It just makes me wonder. I don't know for sure, but certainly somebody knows something about code that we don't know about. This mysterious binary blob that allows government people to do SimJacker. SimJacker is a government attack. It's not even an attack that is possible beyond state players because they have information that I don't have. So because of this, you have to understand, when I do my research, and somebody says I don't do research, this guy Matt Aiden said I don't do my fucking research, and I actually discover things, just like I discovered little details about blue code systems. I discovered, for example, I learn about how Wi-Fi triangulation works, and I learn about how it used to be done by Street View cars, and now it's done by Android, and it's hidden in the step called Wi-Fi probes, or actually in the step called Wi-Fi scanning. It's part of that. And one of these researchers from this graphene pro-graphene mob says, well, I didn't detect any activity from Google doing that. And it's like, if you know how they collect the data, they actually stated it. I actually found where they stated how they did it. And I even found how Apple does it. And somebody would say, well, how do we know your source is correct on how they do the Wi-Fi probes? Aside from the fact that it's obvious from the way the data is collected, they have a database of every MAC address of every router. company like Skyhook obtained that information by driving around with cars, kind of like Street View, driving around every block and looking for Wi-Fi routers and collecting that database of MAC addresses. And that's what Street View cars used to do. And then somebody from Google actually admitted in an interview, can't remember who it is now, but obviously that's when I discovered this, said that, oh, they don't do that anymore, Street View cars. They get your MAC addresses of the routers from Android, which means every Android becomes the spy device, and trying to figure out where they put it. And as it turns out, it becomes obvious to me that it was put into the Wi-Fi scanning. That's the most obvious place to hide it. Now, why is it in the Wi-Fi scanning area? Because if you remove gaps or Google Apps from a phone like I do, then the battery life doubles. So obviously some interaction going on back and forth has been disconnected for your battery life to double without Google. So somebody said, well, you didn't research that. You don't know. Please. Okay. I understand the geolocation API. I've worked with the zucking geolocation API for many, 9 years. I worked with the geolocation API. Has it been around that long? Okay. So I know that they use, when you send the data, you have to specify the zucking MAC address of the router, the signal strength, and all that. And you're telling me that I don't know how that zucking collected, and you're saying that there's no way Android sends that. Well, you're a zucking fool if you think that, because that's how the database was collected. So one of the hackers at DEF CON, very good hacker, I think very highly of him, and strangely enough, we share the same address, and his name is Sammy Rankar. So he must live in the area. Sammy Rankar is a very famous hacker in DEF CON, and he actually hacked into that Google database, where he showed, I saw the video where he actually showed that database that had the MAC address of the router, which is obvious. We all know that exists because there's an API for it. But to actually hack it independently, where he actually reached it and put it on DEF CON, and then Google blocked external access to that database, which was open externally, was very funny. Okay? So people say, well, you don't know what you're talking about. It's like, fuck you. I didn't invent my understanding of geolocation API. I have a link, brax.me/geo, where you can test your geolocation directly using the geolocation API and see if you're vulnerable. And you can say that. It's in several of my videos. So if you say, I don't know anything about geolocation Wi-Fi triangulations, like, suck. There's the actual API. I'm actually showing you. Okay? So when you understand that, anyway, back, I kind of went off here because I was talking specifically about Linux phones. I believe that Linux phones are, in fact, the only way to prevent the leaking of data. Linux phones do not have any connection with Google, Apple, Facebook, anything. There's actually no way. There's no device fingerprint. There's no actual source of data. You can be browser fingerprinted, but you can fake that. And that's why I use virtual machines. But in Linux, those kinds of things don't. The leak of data is not extensive at all. And since you control what kind of apps you have, you're not at risk. You're not at the same risk with a Linux phone as you are with any normal phone. Although at the moment it's not ready yet, so I'm not recommending you go buy a Linux phone yet. But at some point I'm gonna, open up the floodgates and say go buy it. At the moment it's experimental. If you're willing to experiment, you can experiment with us on it. And I'm one of those. I have a Pint phone, and I do have an order for a Librem 5, which I don't have yet. And it's going to be buggy. It's not going to work too well. And I understand that. But the difference, guys, is I understand that you can easily hack Linux. I mean, goodness. It doesn't take a genius to go figure out that if you have a Pine phone, I can just steal your zucking SD card and I got you. I'm just going to unplug the SD card and whatever. So what? So what? What are the zuck are you putting on your phone? If you are going to put naked pictures on the phone, you might be slightly better off with graphene, yes. But my line of argument is that I don't believe your phone or computer can ever be safe, so I don't put anything directly on the device. I always store it someplace else because I always assume the device can be hacked. So therefore, I don't believe you can have safe defense. I don't really care if my Android is, by the way, my de-Googled phone is safe enough. And why do I say that? Because when I de-Google a phone, it actually has the exact same security as a standard Android. So if a standard Android, well, it doesn't have, obviously I changed the bootloader, but that's not really an issue if you actually know how it works. So standard Android has the same security as Linux as a de-Googled phone. So if you think that's flawed, then I guess the billions of people who have, they sell what, 1 point something billion Android phones a year, so I guess all of them are flawed. So I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Okay, because that's not the source of my threat. I'm not worried about a threat coming from that physical access to the phone, because I don't have data. I would be willing to cross a border, travel internationally, and somebody says, well, I need to look at your phone. I say, here, look at it all you want. I'm not going to put anything on my phone. My phone is not going to have any data. You can attack my phone all day. In fact, I do. I erase my phone constantly and take a new phone. I must change phones, at least once a month. And it doesn't matter to me because there's no data on the phone. I don't keep anything in there. So, the phone is not my life. For some of you, it is your life. You put your life's work in there, and I don't do that. Okay, just like somebody says, well, a phone is more secure than a computer, and that is the most stupid statement I have ever heard. Most stupid statement I've ever heard. Yes, you can probably hack a computer more easily than a phone. Now that's true. However, your phone is tracking you, and it's not even cybersecurity. Your phone is tracking you and sending data, device fingerprinting, and so on, and that's in the phone. So location, movements, motion, all of that is part of the sensors on a phone. A computer does not have sensors. It can't even do Wi-Fi scanning in the same way because there's no GPS. Wi-Fi scanning collection needs a GPS. The computer doesn't have a GPS. It doesn't even have the capability. It can only use Wi-Fi triangulation. It can't be the source of Wi-Fi triangulation tracking routers because it doesn't have a GPS to send the data with. So all of that information that is leaked out about your location actually occurs without permission with a GPS and the ability to do a Wi-Fi scan of the Wi-Fi's around you and sending their MAC address, which is part of the geolocation API of Google and Apple. Do I need to even explain that? Do I need a video to explain to you that, some of you actually, I heard comments in my video saying, I don't trust you. I don't believe what you said. Show me some document saying Wi-Fi triangulation. It's like, Zuck, I don't really need to waste my time on this. Go to Zucking Wikipedia. Go search in Wikipedia, Wi-Fi triangulation. At least get the Zucking basics. Now the question is, once you understand the basics, you can then understand more intelligently what we're talking about here. Okay? But seriously, you're going to ask me if Wi-Fi triangulation is true. One guy made a comment like this. One guy made a comment to me and said, I don't really believe that Google and Apple are tracking us 24/7. Show me some proof, this guy says. It's one of the comments on one of my videos. And Zuck. Why don't you ask Sammy Rankar? Let's see what he believes. He saw the actual database. How do you think it gets into that zucking database? Zuck! Obviously, something is collecting it. If you have a phone and it collects MAC addresses, which Google already claimed that they do on Android, they collect the Wi-Fi addresses, the MAC addresses, of the Wi-Fi's, and the signal strength, and the the MAC address, signal strength, and GPS position, and that is sent to Google because that's part of the API for this. On when you retrieve it, it has to come from somewhere. So obviously, Google already said it comes from Android. Okay, so the question is, where do they put it? Well, we can't know because we don't have access to the source code. It's hidden. But they already said they do that, and obviously it has to come from somewhere, and that's the only place to do it. Now, if in fact an Android phone collects the information for Wi-Fi scanning and all that, how do you think it gets to Google? Obviously, it gets to Google. Gets to Google with your Google ID and maybe your IP address. So, therefore, if it knows your phone, your device fingerprint, it knows the serial number of your phone, IMSI, IMEI. And whatever hardware serial number there is, in combination with the Google ID, which they know, which they can connect to your credit card number because you buy it from the Google store. So they have all that information, and that is sent with the Wi-Fi scanning information. And you're going to tell me, they don't know my location 24/7. And it's like, Zuck, how dumb can you be? The trick, guys, is understanding that if I can do it, they can do it. Simple. I have a simple logic. If I can do it, they can do it. If I can track your traffic using Wireshark, the NSA can track and do track your traffic through the AT&T peering stations at 8 locations all over the U.S. that can capture the traffic of most of the internet in the world and actually read your emails, read your texts, track your traffic on social media, and post it in the Utah data center where they can store it in a database. And yes, that is what is known. And you're saying, how do I know that? Well, again, I dig out the stuff. This one is obvious. It's in the press. There's an article that I already knew this was going on, but nice to see somebody actually do the legwork. And The Guardian actually had an article on it, and they actually showed these 8 peering stations in this article on The Guardian. So there you go. Then confirm. I already knew it. I mean, they have to do it. I mean, if I can do Wireshark, why couldn't they? I just didn't know where they did it. I actually thought they were doing it, and maybe they still do. I was thinking they were capturing data at the multiplexers where it shifts to fiber. There are multiplexers where it goes from Ethernet to fiber, and I thought, and they have some secret devices in there, and some people who work in telecom have showed me some of these secret devices. They don't know what's in there, and anytime they install it, it's installed under guard. Okay, one of you guys told me that. You used to install these things in closets, and you install these multiplexers, and there's a guard. So what the zuck is that? You're telling me, oh, I don't know why there's a guard, but you don't tell me that's related to 3-letter agencies? Okay, some of you are going to say, I'm being tinfoil hat here, but come on. If I can do it, they can do it. That's all. I don't have to invent a way. If I can do it, somebody smarter than me, they'll do it. So in summary, and I've told you this, the threat is me. And not because I will do it to you, but because of my capability. I know how to do the stuff. There's no doubt that I can capture information and do things to people that you wouldn't want. Okay? And if somebody's a bad guy, if you're a bad guy, I'm not going to let you attack me. I'm going to collect all the information I have about you. So it's not a secret that I'm going to do that if you attack me. I don't do it to my friends. I don't do it to anyone who uses my platforms. I make it safe for all of you, because I know you don't want any bad guys in there. But guys, you got to understand that I have a different threat level, and that is what I do, and I teach you to be able to stop somebody with this kind of skill. And if I can do it, and sometimes I have to theorize some of it because I don't really have direct proof of what the three-letter agencies can do. But if technologically I can do it, then they can do it. And then some of it I have to theorize, the technology, because obviously they're way ahead. They could be decades ahead in technology. So I have to make some assumptions on some of it. For example, somebody, actually Snowden mentioned their particular skill in doing voice prints. So Snowden mentioned that, and he mentioned how that's being used, and so I assume that they're going to voice print. I don't need any more prodding. If Snowden says they're going to do voice printing, I'm going to assume that's the case. Okay, so go use your Amazon Echo. Have fun with that. I'm voice printed as it is doing this, but let's not contribute to the database. So anyway, I'm sorry. I'm not responding to your comments because I had to talk about a lot of stuff, and I think I hit most of the things I wanted to talk about. And I don't know. You tell me if I'm legit, because this guy Matt Aiden said I don't know anything. What did he say? I'm the opposite of legit. So you tell me, guys. Do I not know what I'm talking about? Tell me now. Go say, Zuck, you know nothing. By the way, the term "what the Zuck," if you go to Urban Dictionary, I actually invented that, and it's actually attributed to me. So I invented the term "what the Zuck" because the most dangerous platform on earth is Facebook. Now, why Facebook? Because, guys, as somebody to fear, my first source is always Facebook. Knowing how much I can get from, I don't care what security you have on Facebook. I don't care what privacy settings you have. I don't care. If you have something on Facebook, I don't care how old it is. I don't care how you hide it. If you have it on Facebook, I will find it. Okay? I will find it. That's what's so scary about Facebook. If I can find it, be scared. Be scared, people. Somebody will find it. So, yeah. So tell me if do you believe this guy, Matt Aiden, when he says, I don't know what I'm talking about? Wonder what his real life experience is with doing this stuff. Or is it all theoretical? I mean, he obviously is good at working in a lab testing this. Just wondering what his practical experience is. Okay? Wonder what his practical experience is. So that's where we're going to compare. That's what we're going to compare. Okay? So you can run Linux on a Snapdragon Matt, did I miss something here? I guess you're having your own discussion here. Matt's credibility is, who's Matt? Ramo Rock is having so much fun. You can hack my Brax router. Did you buy one? If you did, thank you. Hack it all day. What did you get from the Brax router? Get any info? Did you get anything interesting from it? I don't know why you would want to hack a Brax router. What the fuck are you gonna get? So yeah. Have fun with that. Have fun with that. I don't even, I even publish the SSH password. So, yeah, have fun. It's open. You can go look at it all you want. Have fun, Ramo Rock. Are you part of this group too? Are you one of these naysayers who want to make sure that I sound like I don't know what I'm talking about? What else? What else am I missing here? Fidelity Investment uses VoicePrint as one way to verify their customers. Twistmint, one of the scary things is that, and I know this is being done, this was implied by Snowden, which means it's probably, true to multiple levels. If you read between the lines, it means that since the NSA can be subject to laws about keeping data like phone traffic, as you know, that's been ruled to be and unconstitutional for the NSA to track your phone traffic. It's now ruled to be unconstitutional. But the phone traffic is not tracked by the NSA. The phone traffic is tracked by AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, and so on. So as long as they have a contracting agreement with those companies, they can get their data indirectly, and they're not keeping it. This is why I think that VoicePrint data is kept elsewhere. I wonder if it's kept by Amazon, since they do Amazon Echo. If Amazon Echo is used for voice printing, that must mean they have a voice print of pretty much everyone in the US. And if they have that kind of voice print, they keep it in the database and say, hey, NSA, why don't you pay us for a contract to get access to that? And since the data is kept by Amazon, then the NSA will not be going against the law. So there's some of those little tricks that just boggles the mind what they can do, and it's just not to give us meant to give us freedom. So what else? What else do you want to say? What else do you want to say, guys? So, thank you. Wow, WikiLeaks, thank you. You're very nice. Thank you. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. So, if it's in a database, it will eventually be on searchable web, WikiLeaks, and that. You can buy the database. Not all databases need to be free. When somebody says, one important point I missed, and I have to make this point. One of the things that this group says, and this Matt Aiden says, is you shouldn't use a VPN. It's the most stupid thing I've ever said. And the other person that said this is Leo Laporte. He actually has a video on this. Now, Leo Laporte and Steve Gibson, I subscribe to them, Leo Laporte and Steve Gibson. And Steve Gibson is a smart guy, and I enjoy his explanations, and he knows his stuff. And, we have similar backgrounds, and I think he knows what he's talking about. But to say that you should not use a VPN means you do not understand the threat. The threat is that data is sold. The data that I'm talking about, and I've referred to in my last video, is called the trifecta. The data that's sold is, and the NSA, of course, has it already, but third parties have your GPS location, your IP address, and your Google ID, your email, or whatever ID, or your Apple ID, which is an email. So an email, a IP address, and a GPS location. They sell this. There's, my goodness. I mean, it's like you can buy the database from Skyhook Wireless, which is one of the providers. And I actually checked myself on that, and because of my techniques, I don't show up on their database. I actually challenged them. Why don't I show up on your database? They didn't respond to me. So obviously my techniques of hiding using a VPN must work. So, because when you're in a VPN, you don't really get access to any of that data. A VPN provider only has the IP address. They don't have enough information to derive all the stuff that you can derive when you're on the device, like your Google ID and all that, which is derived from having direct connection with the device, using an API call to find out your identity on the phone, device fingerprint to get an IP address. So it's a combination of all three: the Google ID or email, the GPS, and the IP address. That's sold. So what does that mean? If there's a database of that, if I have one of those three, I can find out everything about you. That's pretty scary. Okay? If I get your IP address, I can do reverse IP lookup to get your GPS location. So now I'll know where you live, who you are exactly. Second, if I have your IP address, and there's something that I've implied here, but I'm going to tell you right now. Bad guys, if you have your IP address, can track you 24/7. And it's one of my videos. It's in one of my videos. It's called a beacon attack. Crazy. It's not in the CVS report of hacks. It's allowed. It's not even illegal. That I can beacon you, and it's so stupid because it's so easily stopped. How do you stop it? I always tell you how to stop it. Don't use a email on your phone and use Thunderbird. I cannot do a beacon attack on Thunderbird. So if you use Thunderbird on your computer, I cannot do a beacon attack. That's simple. It's in one of my everything I tell you. VPN, not use Thunderbird, and be careful with email, and don't use Proton Mail and all that, because Proton Mail is not going to stop a beacon attack. Okay, so, and there's other things I can do that has to do with phishing and so on that relate to social engineering. So social engineering is half the problem. The reason I'm very difficult to hack is because I cannot fall for too many of these social engineering attacks. I mean, I can sense a ploy 100 miles away. You even give me a little bit of a hint and I'm not going to talk to you, which is why a lot of times I don't respond to your emails. Don't email me, folks. Talk to me and Brax me. One of the reasons, now I use Thunderbird, so I'm not really worried about a beacon attack, but don't email me because a lot of times I don't respond. It's not a good place. Okay, I can send you lots of malware through that email. Malware that you can't even detect. Okay, do you like signal messaging? No, because partially I use it with family only. I don't like it because of the metadata with the phone number and the contact list. Contact list and metadata with phone number just irritates the hell out of me. So I use it as the safe way to do video calling and voice over IP for family, because they already know my phone number. I don't need to worry about that. But for anybody else, Zuck, no. You're going to find me on Signal, I'm going to ignore you. Okay? You win $800,000. Mad Cow, that's too simplistic. There are many ways to trick you in a way that you don't even know. So many ways. Okay? And you're going to believe it. It just has to be in context. I'll tell you one trick. Employment. Anything to do with a job. Somebody will tell you, we have this possible job for you. And that you get excited. We think you have the proper qualifications for this job. And then you click on it and on and on and on. And some of the lines of attack that I was able to use before, and I actually proved in some videos, have been closed, fortunately. But not all. Not all. Like, you better keep me away from your computer. Somebody said, can you hack a computer? Yes, if you give me 30 seconds on your computer, just like the people at Hack5, which is a good channel, and people like Sammy Rankar. Yeah, give me 30 seconds on your computer. You go to the bathroom. Yes, I can hack your computer. Okay? they have hardware to make it fast. Now, some of that is more difficult to do now because of certain settings, but that because it's a known attack. But I don't need to do that because most of your problems have to do with data you're already leaking out anyway. Okay, so hopefully you learned from what I said, and people who claim that I know nothing, just tell me if I really know nothing. If I know nothing, please confirm right now and say, Doc, you know nothing. So I'd appreciate it if you tell me that I have so much ego that I know nothing. Actually, that's actually the opposite. I have a lot of humility of what I know other people can do to me because I don't have access to their database. Some things I have to deduce from logic, like how Wi-Fi triangulation works. You can deduce it by obvious things. It's not, there's only so many possibilities. So, it's obvious. Now I can't maybe find it directly because, to hide the source code. So if you think that you know how they do it, somebody actually said, well, I put a something called MITM proxy and you track the activity on the phone. And how do you know if the data going through has to do, it could be just a bunch of numbers. How do Zucking know what it is that's being sent? Wi-Fi triangulation is nothing but numbers. So if you set a bunch of numbers to a database, what the Zuck are you going to know about it? Would you even recognize it? If you're not as knowledgeable as I am about what is actually being captured, you may not recognize the numbers as being anything. Plus the fact that you can hide it because it can be done in batch, meaning if you watch it for 1 hour, it may not happen. Perhaps they send it one time a day. They can batch the data. It doesn't have to be sent at once. So that makes it more difficult to even track. Is Proton? No, Proton, whatever. No. Use it if you want. Use it if you want. So, you definitely, but I think it would be better if you explain things like browser fingerprinting in much more. I already do in a video. I even have an example where you can actually look at the specs for browser fingerprinting. What's the fucking video, Tommy? I have 2 browser fingerprinting videos with an example code, for goodness sakes. You can run it against your... Somebody was asking me about the new version of Brave browser. Since I haven't tested a new version, the old version failed in the video. If the new version works with the video, there it is. Test it against my browser fingerprint test. Can't you talk about your background? No, because if I talk about my background, people say that I'm like boasting. So, no. I've already talked about my background. I don't have to. I don't have to make it. Like I'm boasting. I'm so smart. I've done all of this. Who cares? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I know what I can do now. I'm telling you what I can do now. It doesn't matter what my background is. You just have to know that obviously it's based on something pretty heavy. Okay? If I had the title Chief Software Architect for decades, that should give you a hint. Okay? My title over decades were everything from Chief Software Architect, Vice President, and President, and CEO. Those were my only titles in, my goodness, a long time. You can choose for one of those. Those were my only titles. Okay? So if you think I know nothing, then that's the only thing I can tell you. Yeah, should I even be wasting my time on YouTube? You might say that, but you know what? I don't work for anybody or any other company, even my old companies. I don't work for that anymore, so I'm able to do this. So if you think that this is essential, no. I don't have. I actually am on YouTube because I want to help you. Okay, does UDP traffic come out of your VPN server? UDP traffic encrypted comes into the VPN server. UDP traffic comes in. That was cool how you were using multiple KVMs. If people think he knows nothing, why he tell us, are they here? I don't know. I don't know what that means. I just want to make sure that I don't leave. If somebody attacks me on the internet, I cannot leave it unanswered. I will answer it. Is VLC player safe? Yeah, it's just a decoder. I mean, come on. It's just a decoder. It's like it's not Facebook. Facebook is not safe. It's like saying, is WinZip safe? It's just WinZip. Can somebody attach a virus to that? I guess they could. He's saying why they are they here if they don't believe you. He's saying why are they here if they don't believe you. I missed the meaning of that, but okay. Is open source my dude? The open source, what does that mean? Malware on SIM cards, yay or nay? If it's intentional, it's called malware. If it's built in, is it malware? Malware is when somebody puts something that, was not intentional. On SIM card in your baseband, it is intentional. They put it in there. So, I don't call it malware. I thought that I'd say deliberate embedded code. ARP hijacking. You mean the way I do that? It's one of the best techniques. ARP hijacking, yes. Yeah, you can do that. You can shut somebody down on the internet. In fact, that's one of the best ways to shut down a... actually, two ways. You can shut down a Ring camera through ARP. The second way to shut down a Ring camera is doing a Wi-Fi probe. So Jitsi is fine. Jitsi is sounding good. Cubes uses Zen. Somebody was saying saying Cubes doesn't use KVM, it uses Zen. Yes, Cubes uses Zen. So another virtualization tool. But KVM, I used KVM for you because we're doing desktop, and it works well on the desktop. I actually haven't checked out any GUIs of Zen, if there are any, because it's mostly a server side thing. Somebody can tell me if there's a good GUI for Zen, but KVM has a GUI, so it's easy to manage. So KVM is what I use on my video. Zen is older than KVM, but Zen is not compatible with everything. If you notice, Cubes doesn't work with a lot of computers. So maybe the incompatibility lies with Zen, because Zen is not compatible with all processors because it's hardware based. There's no such thing as a free VPN that's safe. KVM is mainstream. Zen doesn't have that bright of a future. Don't tell Amazon that, since I believe they use Zen on Amazon AWS EC2 servers. So they have a big investment in Zen. So Zen is used by some major players. I think Linode may also use Zen. Most of them use KVM, but some specialize in Zen. An Apple Watch is just as bad as iPhone in terms of privacy. Are you going to use your Apple Watch without an iPhone? I don't think so, right? You had to turn on virtualization on BIOS. Great. I heard they were moving away from Zen. They are? Wow. Okay. Show me where to say that. It's interesting. Is my source code safe on AWS? I keep my source code on AWS, but my source code is open source, so I don't have to worry about that. My source code is open source, so they can look at it all they want. Sir, are you still on Nexus 5 Ubuntu Touch? I don't use Ubuntu Touch anymore for two reasons. I cannot get a Nexus 5 anymore, and secondly, the Nexus 5 doesn't have Bluetooth for the car, which is kind of essential in California. You can't use a phone in a car without Bluetooth, so I can't get arrested for that. So, or get a ticket for using a phone. So I can't do that. So the Google phone is more practical for me right now. Besides, it's more user friendly since it works like a normal phone. The Google phone is on my store. I know this is like a lengthier video. I'm stretching it beyond my 1.5 hour, but maybe I'll split it up into two. AWS, it's in their servers. It's not safe. You can encrypt a AWS server, but if you don't trust them, you do what I do, which is I encrypt my data before it arrives. I encrypt my data before it arrives on my AWS server. So I'm not worried about AWS. That was part of my threat model before. I already assumed I assumed somebody from a 3-letter agency would go in there and say, I'm going to go, inspect these servers. So I already assumed that. So that's why I did the encryption the way I did. Okay. Best anonymous bank for crypto trading. I can't tell you that. I think you can use cellular versions without an iPhone. Lineage OS versus ASP for degoogling. Lineage OS is basically AOSP, so with minor changes on the UI. So it doesn't matter to me, whatever works, as long as it's de-Googled. And like I said, the security on a de-Googled phone is the same as any Android. The Graphene OS is more hardened because they think you're going to get hacked on the phone. One thing I want to tell you guys is it's kind of the mistake with some of these people who think they understand cybersecurity and privacy. They understand some of it, but what they miss is the understanding of motives. When you come to me, and I do a lot of consulting for a lot of people about threats, so I do offer that service, and a lot of people come to me and inbox me, and ask me for advice. They think they're being hacked and so on. And one of the first things I do before I even give any kind of advice is I try to understand the situation with the people. Typically a lot of hacking cases have to do with family, or ex-wives, wives, husbands, ex-husbands, divorces, and all this. Very, very typical. There's a lot of anger, and they feel like somebody they know is hacking them. And so I have to understand the motive and also the skill set, because they don't understand that hacking is not easy. What I do is not easy. It doesn't come from just, a base knowledge. You actually have things that I can do, I can't do on all devices. So if I can't do it in some way, then I have to use social engineering to get you to click on it. So then, you download a malware. And because I know this, then I'm very careful with what's being clicked on. Because I know that if it does happen, I can't stop it. So because of this, I don't think that it is that easy to attack a computer in the wild from remotely unless you do a social engineering trick first. To click on something. Social engineering is essential to, and Kevin Mitnick has proven that many, many times. That was his expertise, social engineering. So I am not. I'm not a hacker. Certainly, I'm not a black hat hacker. So you don't have to fear that about me. But yes, I do know how to hack. Obviously, should be obvious. Where I get a chance, I hack myself all the time. So I try to break into myself. That's part of my, because I'm always looking for a way. And I look at the thought process. What if? Can I do this? Can you have a insert a malware even if you have an antivirus? And I'm going to tell you, yes. So an antivirus. That's why I tell you don't use an antivirus, because it's useless. I can actually attack you more with the antivirus. Okay? Do you want to get attacked more? Use an antivirus. I don't use a Zaki antivirus. Okay? Because I know that it will actually penetrate more. And then once I penetrate in there, Metasploit, Zocked. Okay? I mean, you got to be scared about Metasploit, Zock. So I'm scared of it because you're not going to detect it. Somebody said, well, you can detect that. Well, yeah, right, sure. Okay. Somebody's smart enough to make sure it's not detectable. They're called state players. That's what they do. 3-letter agencies. Okay? So, yes, Zuckers. Zocked. Yes, you can get Zocked. Okay? So, anyway, thank you for bearing with me tonight, guys. I was expecting more viewers, but I guess maybe it wasn't so interesting as a rant. I hope you learned something from what I'm talking about, and that if you believe what I'm saying, you're still here, so maybe you believe what I'm saying. So lots of people to worry about in tracking. Okay, so anyway, guys, appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching, and don't believe what you see out there. Trust those. Trust what I'm telling you is based on real experience. If you follow everything I say, you will stop somebody with my skill set. Flat out. That's what I teach you. And I don't go too overboard. I don't go too overboard. Use a de-Googled phone. Use a VPN, preferably a VPN router, and the rest is all behavior. Use pseudo anonymity. Do not be on Facebook. I can't tell you, enough about don't use Facebook, since that is a trove of information right there, and that can lead me to any number of things. So just a few basics on behavior, and I talk about it, how to set up your computer. I have so many videos about it. But this is the time that I managed to actually put it all in the big picture about why it makes sense to do, instead of individual videos, you get the big picture. Okay? So I want to make sure you understand that. So maybe I'll split up this video in a few videos here. So I will, because it's kind of long. So maybe I'll split it up and then post it separately, so people don't have to watch 2 hours of this. Do you offer courses? No, I don't have time for that, unfortunately. King Sing, my boat channel. Yeah, I'm ready. I already have the videos. I just have to edit them. I already have several videos I can make. I'm just trying to find the time to edit. Okay, so Iran has special hackers. Yeah, but the NSA and the CIA have special hackers too, who are much better. So it's kind of scary. Scary, guys. Every state. Scary. Okay, guys, thank you so much. I appreciate you watching me, and again, don't be led by the Zuckers. They're false prophets. Okay? because they give you facts on certain issues doesn't mean they have the full global view with actual experience. If you want somebody with experience, you come to me. Okay? I have the experience, and people on Periscope know this. They test me every day. No, I'm not going to hack you. Don't worry. Okay? That I only do that when I'm attacked. It's actually not something I do. Okay? When somebody attacks me, then, you know, I'm not doing it to anyone from this graphene group. They're not worth my time to be doing anything like this. No, I'm not gonna go dox you or hack you in any way. That is not what I do. Okay, I just want to make sure you all understand where I stand. Okay, guys. So, guys and gals and folks, thank you for watching, and I'll maybe this could be many sub videos. Maybe I'll take one of these and turn it into a short video. I'll see you next time, guys. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.